Well, everyone, the iPhone 10 just keeps blowing my mind as more and more time progresses, and it's so crazy because a device like the iPhone 10 really shouldn't be this good still in 2022. This phone is approaching 5 years old this year, and when I look at this phone and when I compare it even against the iPhone 13s and more recently the iPhone SE 3, which is, Apple's new budget offering, I'm actually still shocked how great of a job Apple did with the iPhone 10, and honestly, I really hope Apple ends up supporting this phone for many, many more years to come. Typically with Samsung devices, and I'm kind of going on a little tangent, but typically with Samsung devices and a lot of Android manufacturers, the hardware ends up outlasting the software. And I never really thought this would happen with an iPhone until I saw the iPhone 10 recently. I think this could be an example where you could use an iPhone 10 even like 5 years from today, and it would still feel like a pretty relevant phone. I think this is the closest thing we'll ever have to like an iPhone 4. Whenever I pick up that iPhone 4, I'm still actually really shocked how great of a phone that is in general. I probably would not recommend using an iPhone 4 anymore. It's outdated, it doesn't really perform that well, and half the apps don't even turn on it. But the hardware of that phone just definitely didn't last as long as the software. And when I look at the iPhone 10, this could be another perfect example. This phone's performance is still pretty good. For the age that it is and for the price that you can get it for, I can go buy an iPhone 10 for less than $300 easily. If you just go on eBay, you can probably find a ton of them there in pretty decent condition. This phone was a $1,000 phone 5 years ago. Nowadays it's gone down a lot, but it doesn't mean it's less of a phone than it was before. Yes, the camera quality and the performance isn't as good compared to something like an iPhone 13, but still, whenever I use this phone, I'm still shocked about the display of this phone. It still looks very good, and it looks very, very sharp as well, and Apple did a really good job with these panels. I think they teamed up with Samsung at this time, and the panel still looks good. The build quality of this phone, it still feels like a $1,000 phone. It doesn't feel any cheaper than my iPhone 13. In fact, I think my iPhone 13 could feel a little bit cheaper than this thing because the iPhone 10 has that stainless steel band around this phone. You have that entire glass back, which looks beautiful. That dual camera setup looks amazing as well. And like I mentioned, there just isn't really too much to complain about with a device like this. It's definitely not perfect anymore. The battery life has gone down a little bit. The camera quality isn't really as good. And the performance is, not as great as compared to something like an iPhone 13, but it's still a really good phone as a package. And like I mentioned, this phone could be one of the first iPhones in a long time where the hardware is just going to outlast the software. If Apple ends up supporting this thing even for another 2-3 years, I could see this phone still being used like 5 years from now, 6 years from now. This is a very future-proofed iPhone in so many different ways, and although if you have the money, go for something like a 13 Pro or an iPhone 13, if you still have an iPhone 10, I'm still actually shocked about how similar this iPhone is to the latest generations. I think the 13 Pros did a great job at separating themselves, but the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 10, it's actually pretty shocking to me how great of a job Apple did with the iPhone 10 and how similar it is to the latest flagships. So that kind of covers it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.